When I get there. Sorry.
Cut out, but
Oh, you're way over there. Okay. Sorry. Oh, no. Okay. Sadie, can you stand up? I mean, not Sadie. Anna, can you stand up? Okay. Yeah, there we go. So, everybody needs to Does he have to keep it right now? Oh, poor baby.
I know. He was so active till yesterday evening. He was playing out with everything, had a lot of fun. Came in the morning, he woke up. Probably some mosquito bite. Yeah.
Did he get overheated?
Oh, baby, yeah. Yesterday we went at 6:30 and it was so. That's why I told him tomorrow the night not before morning after 7:30, not before that. Sound I need apa lagi ya?
Yeah, sure. Do you have a link? I don't Yeah, the first slide you have the Oh no.
Attack it in the habla What's the channel called, please?
Still showing live. Yes, we double checked. It's there. It's just delayed. Oh.
You know, this really
I'm still here. Do
All right, welcome. Thank you so much for coming this evening. I'm really happy to see everyone here. We have what I think is going to be a very special night, a lot of solos and some duets, large ensemble piece. If you saw the posters, we're not having the dancing this time. That is something that you're supposed to be expecting for another upcoming recital. We had to delay it. So I wanted to welcome you here. I also want to welcome our online audience. We have some people from across the country that want to hear these little harpists. So welcome everybody. In preparation, can we please make sure that all our cell phones are turned off? And if you want to take photos, I am super happy that you're photographing this or videoing it. But I just ask that you be somewhat discreet in the way you're taking your photos. Make sure the sounds are turned off on the phones or whatever devices you're using. And then at the end, once we're done with our last piece, there will be a photo opportunity. I'm going to have all the students come up here, and there'll be another opportunity for you to take pictures. So with no further ado, I'd like our first two performers to come up and start our first piece.
Good time. I'm not sure my cell phone is turned
Our next performer is joining us from Redding, California, via Skype. So, all right. Hi, Lily. Can you mute yourself? Okay. All right.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you great.
Okay.
Whenever you're ready, go ahead and play.
Sorry, just looking for you.
Yeah, I know.
Once, in the time before there was time, Soli, the shaper, and Pana, the weaver, lived in the firmament. The earth was unfinished, nothing but rock, barren and gray and lifeless. Pana and Soli liked the vastness, but it was empty. And so they sat, facing one another with their legs crossed and their knees touching, and they breathed in all there was to breathe in the universe, and as they exhaled, the force of their breath clashing together created a spark, a flash of bright yellow in the darkness. Curious, Soli took the spark in her hand, and with her other hand she gathered a fistful of stardust. And she added it to the spark and began to twist and carve, to mold and to shape until she had created a butterfly that flitted around Pana's head. They were so delighted with the butterfly, this flash of bright yellow against the vast blackness of the universe, that they began to breathe more. And Soli gathered more stardust and formed more creatures, life begetting more life. She twisted and carved, molded and shaped until she had made things with wings and stripes and spots and feathers and fur. She made a neon tetra with electric red and silver fins, pangolins with sturdy coats of armor and grand, patient whales who hummed their pleasure in existence. Happy though Soli and Pana were with their new menagerie of color and sound, they weren't exactly sure what to do with them. So Pana sat at her loom and began to weave. She started with blue. She wove in azure and Alice, cerulean and cornflower, indigo and ultramarine. She wove in white for glaciers, black for the depths of waves. She wove in green for the reaching arms of seaweed and flashes of pink for coral, until before her stretched out the great sheet of the ocean. And as she wove, she sang, "Weave the waves and bind the thread, everyone who lingers here will find a home." And she sang. The sheet of the ocean began to deepen. The waves rose and crashed. The coral expanded, and the seaweed lilted through the water. When she had finished, Soli hooked her finger around a ring of coral and ran toward the earth, the ocean sloshing out behind her, and all the creatures who wished to live in the ocean, the reef sharks, the brittle stars, and limpets, all followed in their turn. Soli reached the earth and set the ocean down sloshing, and the creatures who had come with her sank gently beneath the waves. And then she ran back to the firmament where Pana was still at her loom, a lynx curled in her lap, and a macaw perched on her shoulders. But this time she was weaving smaller tapestries of rich browns and greens. She wove in deep green for jungle vines, verdant trees, grassy plains. She wove in bright orange blossoms, soft lavender petals, and tawny sand. And as she wove, she sang, "Weave the leaves and bind the thread, everyone who lingers here will find a home." And as she sang, the trees sprang up, the mountains loomed, and the grasses waved. And just as before, every time Pana finished a tapestry, Soli would take the finished tapestry down to the earth, and the animals who wished to live in the plains and the deserts and the mountains and the valleys all followed in their turn. Now, Soli had just left with a finished tapestry, trailed by a curious collection of cassowaries and sugar gliders, when only a small handful of animals remained by the loom. There was a ferret, a bat, a hound, and a mole, all waiting to see what Pana would weave next. Now the ferret watched dubiously, and he decided that he'd just as soon live at the foot of the loom. So he began to gather grass and straw and other bits of landscape that had fallen away unnoticed, until he came across a shiny bit of rope that would make a perfect addition to his nest. So he took up the rope in his mouth, not realizing that he had caught hold of Pana's braid. He scampered about the loom, pulling the braid behind him. He dove through the warp, and her hair was caught in the weft. Once caught, Pana could not stop the forward motion of her weaving. Just as the blue threads she had woven were pulled into the tapestry and became the ocean, so too was Pana caught, first by her hair, and then as she reached up to free herself by her arms, and then her head and her chest and her torso and her legs, until finally there was nothing but a landscape at the mouth of the loom. Soli came back to the firmament and saw that Pana was not there, but she did not worry yet, but took the finished tapestry down to the earth. It was not until she returned to the firmament that she felt Pana's absence truly. Where could she have gone? In all of the universe, there was nothing but empty blackness in the world that they had created together, a world that Soli couldn't have even imagined without Pana. So she gathered the 3 animals that remained by the loom and went down to the earth to seek her out. First, she sent out the bat, who cast sound waves into the night, listening for Pana's echo, but he could not find her. Next, she sent out the hound, who went baying and barking over the ground, trying to search out Pana's scent. But Pana had woven the entire world, and everything smelled of her. He could not find her either. Finally, with waning hope, Pana sent out the mole, a tiny, blind thing, who began to dig trenches and then tunnels into the earth. He dug deeper and deeper and deeper until the strains of a song could be heard coming up from the ground. So he continued to dig. He dug deeper and deeper and deeper until Pana's voice could be heard coming up from the earth. You searched for me in sea and sky, and search till rivers all run dry. Find me, I am your home. It was then Soli knew that Pana had been woven into the fabric of the earth. Soli wept because she knew that to free Pana, she would have to destroy everything they had made together. What they had made was beautiful. The making had changed Pana. Soli could not release her from the earth without being her undoing. We do not get to enter into love without being transformed. Soli herself transformed. She changed into the rain. And in this way, she is able to meet Pana everywhere. Pana reaches up with green shoots, and Soli reaches back with gentle showers. And together, they help things grow. They sprout tulips and mangroves, cotton and clover, bergamot and vetiver. Wherever there is ground, they fill it with the music and the breath of living. And so they are, ever to this day, transformed, but still with a love so big, it creates words.
thank everyone again for coming. We have one more piece to do, and then as I said before, we will have a picture opportunity afterwards. And then please just stay after we've taken a picture. We have some refreshments out back. I'd love for us all to congratulate our performers. So thank you again. Okay, now harpists, come out from the sides of the harp from behind, and let's all stand in the front. Everybody else, gather in. It'll be easier. Come in closer. Closer.
It's really weird for me to be the tall one.
Crystal? You're supposed to be up here. You're a pianist. Okay. No, you need to be in the picture. Please come. Do we need to gather in closer? Or are we good?
Remember to smile.
It's smelly, guys.
How about a silly face? Can you do a silly face?
Can we all do silly faces? Are we pictures? We have something for our performers.